Hi there. All right, let's get started on our next story. Let me share my screen with you, show it to you. Today's story is If You Were Me and Lived in South Korea, a child's introduction to cultures around the world. So boys and girls, this is a pretty basic book that I think a lot of my Korean American friends from 3rd Street will be familiar with a lot of this. I hope you enjoy it just the same. All right, before we begin, let's go over our question answer sheet quickly so that you have these questions in mind as we go through the story. You're going to decide on the genre. Is it fiction, nonfiction, realistic fiction, or historical fiction? You want to write down, excuse me, the author and the illustrator and the copyright. For this book, number 1, what is the capital city of South Korea? And tell 2 facts about it. Number 2, describe the Korean folk village of Minsokchon. And number 3, what are some favorite foods in South Korea? Again, it's always good to have the questions in mind before we go ahead and read. Also, let's take a look at the map. The last story I read aloud took place in the Czech Republic on the continent of Europe. We're moving over to Asia, right here. Very difficult to see, but let me see if there we go, to the country of South Korea. This green one colored in right here, South Korea. All right, so that's where our story is taking place today. We've looked at some of our question and answers. And let's begin our book. If You Were Me and Lived in South Korea, A Child's Introduction to Cultures Around the World by Carole P. Roman. And we know when we see just one person's name on the cover of a book, that person is the writer and also provided the illustrations for the book. So the author and the illustrator are Carole P. Roman. I'll give you just a moment to copy down that title. It's kind of long. All right, and let's take a look for the copyright date. And here it is. Copyright, zoom in a little bit more. Copyright year is 2013. So this book was written about 8 years ago. Written and published. We also have a dedication, which most books have. Someone the writer wanted to acknowledge who helped or inspired her. This dedication is to the girls at Diva. Your warm welcome and graciousness are an inspiration and a reflection of the land of your birth. Nice. Here we have a map of South Korea with the capital city of Seoul. All right, let's begin. If you were me and lived in South Korea, your home would be in East Asia, somewhere here. You might live in the capital city, Seoul. It is the largest city in South Korea and was built on the banks of the Han River. People have lived there for over 2,000 years. It's a very old city. So be sure to write down the capital city of South Korea and 2 facts. Remember to write the information in your own words. And if you need more time, you can just go ahead and pause the video. Your name could be Minjun, Jiho, or Minjae if you are a boy, and Subin, Jiwoo, or Iyun if you are a girl. Just some samples of some Korean names, boys and girls. Here they are, and it looks to be a bakery or restaurant. When you buy toys, you would pay with a won, which is like a dollar bill. When you call your mommy, you would say Oma. When you address your father, his name would be Appa. If a friend came to visit, you would surely go to Minsu-chung, the Korean folk village and museum in the city of Yongin-si. It is a village of homes, markets, and workshops that show what Korean life was like 500 years ago. There is an amusement park and lots of traditional shows depicting music and dancing. And please forgive my pronunciation of some of these places and names, boys and girls. But this is the Korean village that question number 2 asks you about. Describe the village. So there's lots of information on this page too. You would love to take your friend to eat in one of the restaurants where you would have bulgogi or Korean barbecue. They cook the meat right at the table on a very hot plate. You would love to eat it with kimchi, which is fermented cabbage and can be spicy. Rice is usually always on the table, and you would eat your meal with metal chopsticks. Taekwondo is an ancient martial art of self-defense. It is a wonderful way to exercise and might be your favorite sport. Of course, your little sister might like playing with her Agi Inhyun or baby doll. Again, pardon the pronunciations. But you know what? Your baby sister could do some Taekwondo too. And you could be playing with the Aji Hyun dolls. The boys and girls can play with and do anything they want. The Lunar New Year is called Sunam and would probably be your favorite holiday. You would dress in traditional clothes called hanbok. You would visit with family and enjoy a festive dinner of soup and rice cakes. You would be proud when you visited your grandparents and bowed deeply to them with respect. You would say, "Have a blessed new year," and they would reward you with crisp money in a beautiful, colorful envelope. When you go to school, you would call it Haegyo. So now you see, if you were me, how life in South Korea could really be. There's a lovely illustration. Boys and girls all around the world. And boys and girls, that's our story. If you and lived in South Korea, I hope you had a chance to write some of the information down as we went along. If not, feel free to go back, pause the video so that you can go over some of the information. All right. Thank you so much again for joining, and we'll see you next time.